So what I'm waiting for, Nino, is a moment where God moves and no one saw it coming. It's called a black swan. A black swan is the thing that no one sees coming. It comes out of left field, but it changes everything. It's called the butterfly effect, right? When that event happens, then from that day onwards, everything is shifted, okay? And so I'm waiting for that butterfly effect. I'm waiting for that black swan. And again, these are like acts of God, but that's what we need. And mathematics are saying it starts now, starts here. And I do want to say there's a very important date coming up, and it's 11/11. Okay. So everything's looking at 11/11 through 11/13 is very important.
Mark that 11/11 to 11/13.
Because why? The calculations are indicating that at Halloween onwards into the year end, okay, you're going to be dancing your pants off by Christmas, everybody. And November is going to be the greatest time in history because God's going to intervene. And that's going to cause gold, silver, and XRP to explode, okay? Without an act of God, you might as well throw out your gold, throw out your silver, and throw out your XRP because the globalists run the world, okay? So you need an act of God to stop the globalists. Trump can't stop the globalists. So stop with the white hats, because in the white hats, there's black hats, there's spies. And in the black hats, there's white hats. So there's spying on everybody. The only truth is God. So we're stepping into war right now. This is stepping into war. And again, when I reference, remember, when Israel got to the Red Sea, Pharaoh brought his army. Okay, so I'm expecting we're going to see that the military conflict, possibly around into the 11th, somewhere around there, we could see something go on militarily where they're going to try to stop this move. Okay, so we are in the line in the sand moment right now, and what transverses here into November is supposed to be epic. So we're going to see, but all I know is that the prophecies are very clear about, here's the prophecy, silver explodes, okay? Nino, let me just tell you, there's no way gold or silver, they're never going to let silver go through $50. It went to $54, and they slammed it down.
You were right on that.
They slammed it down, and I said they're going to slam it down because they won't let it go above 50. So the only thing I want to, everybody, if you got a pen, paper, write it down. The only thing that's going to allow silver to go above 50 and stay there and go to 3 digits is an act of God. Okay, that's it, because silver is the bank killer. But if you do the research on the Mayflower landed 1620. We know Israel was in bondage for 400 years. And then it was freed. So we all thought, hey, there's a chance we could be freed at 400 years, which would have been 2020. Instead, the exact opposite happened. All hell broke loose in America and the world, okay? So instead of us stepping into the greatest time in history in the year 2020, we went in the exact opposite direction, okay? But if you understand the number 5, it's grace. So grace is a double-edged sword. It's grace. God can give evil 5 years to turn from their wicked ways. He also gave us 5 years, Nino. Nino, in the past 5 years, you tell me that your eyes were not opened wide open, okay? My eyes in the past 5 years are open wide open, okay? So these past 5 years allowed us, me and you, Nino, and all your many of your viewers to have their eyes wide open. Okay, so 1620 plus 400 years plus 5 years of grace is 2025. So let's look at the events of Mayflower. This is very important. There's 3 dates for Mayflower. November 6th was when the Mayflower first sighted land. November 11th, they anchored near Cape Cod. There's your 11/11. And then they never disembarked or got off the ship until December 21, when they finally stepped foot on the mainland, which is actually the start of the winter solstice. And then 4 days later is Christmas. What I'm telling you is these dates are going to be very important. Actual calculations, which is 400 plus 5 years, which is this November 6th. Key one here, 11/11, very important. And then takes us into the 21st. So we're going to watch, but this is the time of harvest. The time of harvest is in scripture. It's specifically where God separates the wheat from the tares. So that means the good from the evil. So we wait and watch, but we need an act of God, Nino. Something has to trigger to fulfill prophecy, okay? Why I say all this is because God needs one day. When you go back in scripture, it's always like one day where the world flipped upside down when God intervened. Okay, so everything scripturally, when God intervenes, it's a 24-hour window. It's a one-day event. So we need a one-day event. I know you've talked to many people on your show. I know you personally, you've talked about, you have cryptocurrency, you have gold, you have silver, you promote it on your channel. Why? Because you know that in your heart, the financial system, like I always say, is a fraud. Okay. They create money out of thin air. So what I want people to understand, listening here, is that the governments, the people in charge, the system, the 3-letter agents, the system, they hate you. They want to control you, enslave you. They want you usurp. They want you in bondage. They want to make sure that everyone listening has a mortgage, a student loan, a credit card, a car payment. They want to make sure they create as much money as they can and just stick you with it. And so you just hold on to it as if you owe somebody something that was literally made out of thin air. The money system has no value. Actually, there's a 1-minute video if you want to cue that up, because this is literally about the prophecy about money. God's going to wipe out the fiat money system. Why? Because without an active God, we're done. Okay, so we need an active God. It's going to be an angel of death moment, which leads to the wealth transfer, joy in the morning. 10 days later, Red Sea miracle. This is supposed to all potentially trigger here the middle of November. And then when God's intervened, and that's going to create this Thanksgiving is going to be the greatest Thanksgiving we've ever had. That's the prophecy. And then that actually fulfills also, remember the prophecy of Kim Clement. Strange July, we had that with all these indictments coming out, okay? But then the second part was hypnotic November.
Strange July, hypnotic November.
This is going to be historic, what's about to go down here. So we're at a moment in time, angel of death, wealth transfer, Red Sea miracle, which is going to tie in, I believe, with a hypnotic November, and then joy in the morning with Thanksgiving celebrations this Thanksgiving. And then this Christmas will be mind-blowing how much celebration they'll be going, not only in America, but the world will be celebrating this Christmas. And that is not my opinion. This is prophecy. So how it all plays out, we're going to watch, but it all ties in with the collapse of the money system. Listen to prophecy.
It is harvest time, and you shall rejoice. I am calling in the harvest, and my harvest angels are in the fields, picking the fruit and the harvest, and transferring it all to my children. No longer shall the evil fiat system work. No longer shall the elite globalist control this earth and your finances. I am the great I am, and I am a promise keeper. It is time for the greatest wealth transfer, and you shall see it, and you shall eat the good of the land.
It started with silence, like heaven took a breath. Then the thunder rolled heavy, and the sky split wide. What we thought would never happen fell before our eyes. But we remain, not one heart moved. The wind bowed low, the saints stood still. One day was all he needed. One word and the war was done. The wicked vanished like vapor, but the righteous faced the sun. The old world cracked and crumbled, but we stood inside his flame, and we'll never forget when the day came. The children woke in silence, like something shook their name. Their eyes were wide with wonder, but they felt no fear, no shame. The rulers raged and crumbled, still shouting as they fell. But evil had no refuge, not in earth or man or hell. And we remained. He called us by name. The earth exhaled and nothing was the same. One day was all he needed. One breath and the storm was still. He broke the chains with silence, and the air itself was filled. The fire fell without burning, and every soul knew his name. Yes, we'll never forget when the day came. We were the ones who remained, not lifted up, but left to stand. Not hidden, but seen. Not crushed, but claimed. The day didn't take us, it revealed us. And now, the harvest begins. One day was all he needed. Just one.